Hey guys, I'm here with a map. It is a really cool map of the United States that we have pulled out several times this school year. You guys remember, we love when we get the map out and put it on the board. I know usually there's a student here helping me hold it up so we don't have to put tape on the board, but today I'm having to put tape on the board because I miss you and I wish you guys were here. I wish you were here, Kennedy, helping me hold this side of the map that you usually are, and usually Madeline's helping me hold this side of the map. But we love to get the map out and we love to talk about the map and we love to talk about what states we've been to. I know that Dylan has been all the way over here on the west part of the United States in California, and he's visited California. I've visited California too. I've also visited the Grand Canyon over here, and I've also visited I visited Arizona, Nevada. I visited Texas here just recently. I love my husband's family. Mr. Painter is from West Virginia right here. Some of you told me you had family in Pennsylvania over here. Some of you told me that you've been here in the middle of the United States. Maybe you've been to Oklahoma or Kansas or North or South Dakota. We just love looking at a map. So if you have a map at your home today, get out a map and kind of look at it and just explore the United States and talk about all these amazing states that we have and what places you've been to and what places you would still like to go to. Someday, maybe you would like to go to California and go to Disneyland, or maybe you would like to go to Texas, to Dallas, Texas, or maybe you'd like to go to Wisconsin. Super cold there if you go to Wisconsin. But the reason why I brought this map out today is to talk to you about the United States did not always look like this. In fact, the United States was not always called the United States. A long time ago, all of this was wilderness. It didn't look like this. It didn't have the buildings as it has now and the fun places to go to. It was totally different. And so we talked about at the beginning of the school year, somebody that explored this part of the world in 1492. Do you guys remember who explored the world in 1492? Who was really brave, and he asked the king and queen of Spain for some ships, the Nina, Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and traveled when no one else had ever done that before, and was brave enough to go in the ocean, not knowing what was going to happen, and he discovered the new world. Does anybody remember who that was? Christopher Columbus, way to go. And do you remember where Christopher Columbus was actually trying to go to and where he actually landed? Remember, we talked about how he was really trying to get to the Indies and he thought that's where he was at, but really where he landed was the Bahamas. And after he explored the world, more people thought it was really great and they wanted to explore the world too. And there was this time and period in America called the Age of Exploration, where you had Ponce de Leon exploring, and that's where St. Augustine was found. It's still the oldest city in the United States. So we have that right here in Florida, which is really cool. So you can go visit St. Augustine. And you had Vasco da Gama and Amerigo Vespucci and all of these explorers who came to explore. And then we talked about a group of people back in Thanksgiving who came to America from England because they wanted freedom. They wanted religious freedom. They wanted to break free from the king and be able to serve God the way that they wanted to. They wanted to worship God and to read their Bible and to praise Jesus. So they decided to come to America. Do you guys remember who that was? The Pilgrims. So the Pilgrims left England and they came all the way to America and they landed in Massachusetts. So let's look on our map here, right here. Here's Massachusetts right here. And on the map, actually, if you were to get a close-up of this, I can try to bring the phone up. Okay, let me show you. I don't know if you can see where I'm at. Oh, there I am. Okay, here's Massachusetts right here. Right here is the word Plymouth. See it right here? There's a little dot. This is Plymouth. This is where the Pilgrims landed and they started their settlement there, okay? And then more people started coming, and even in Virginia right here, some more people came. They thought they were gonna land in Massachusetts. They ended up landing in Virginia, and that's where you have Jamestown, right? This is where John Smith came, and that's where Jamestown came. Well, so more and more people decided to come to the United States, and so the United States was starting to grow and get bigger. 10 years after the Pilgrims came to the United States, you had another group of people who came, and they were called the Puritans. And again, they wanted to be able to worship God and to break free from the King of England. And then more and more people started coming to the United States. Again, remember, even during this time, even during the 1500s, you guys. So that means when you're making a date, right? If you were to make a date, I'm going to write it up here. It wouldn't say 2020. Back then, it would say something like 1512. Can you imagine that? You're talking about 500 years ago this happened. The United States looked completely different than the way it does now. And so more and more people started coming, and so there was something established called the 13 original colonies. I'm sure you've heard this before. It was called colonial life when people lived very different than we live today. So today we have electricity, today we have TV, radio, today you can go to the grocery store and get your groceries and all of these things. But back in colonial life, it wasn't like that. And so there was no Kansas, there was no Colorado, there was no Wyoming, there was just 13 colonies. Not even called states at that time. It wasn't even called the 13 states. And they didn't have a president yet either. So we're going to talk about that in the next video, about some of the really cool books that I like to read about George Washington and colonial life. But at this time, they were just called colonies. And so what I want you to do is I want you to memorize the 13 original colonies. So today I'm going to show you an easy and quick way to do that. It'll be really fun. I have it on paper here that I've done, and then I want you at home to get a piece of paper right now and get some paper, get some pen, get a pen, get a marker, get something to color with if you have it, and you can pause this video for a second while you go get all of those things so I can show you a really cool way to remember the 13 original colonies, because you're gonna end up having a quiz on this in a couple of weeks, okay? So you go get your supplies, I'm gonna go get my supplies, okay? Let's go. Okay, I hope you've gotten your supplies now, and the first thing I want you to do is just watch the way that I show you how to remember the 13 original colonies. Now, the 13 original colonies were on this side of the United States, because you have to remember that people that were traveling to the United States were traveling all the way from Europe, and they were traveling from over here. They had to cross the Atlantic Ocean to get here. So when they landed here, they're not going to go all the way over here to the middle or to the west part of the United States at first. That wasn't even explored yet. We got to get into Lewis and Clark and their expeditions and Sacagawea before we even get to that. But right now, we're just talking about 13 colonies that were formed right here on the east side of the United States. Remember, we talked about the difference between west and east. It spells we. West, east, north, south. So this is the east part of the United States, right here by the Atlantic Ocean, and this is where the 13 original colonies were located at. And that's all there was. So here's an easy way to remember the 13 original colonies, because it's really hard to remember 13 states, especially in a row. That's hard to do. So I'm going to tell you a little story and a little picture of how to do that. And then after you get done watching this video, you can use your paper and your markers and your pencils and all of that to make your own, okay? All right, so here's how we're going to remember it. There were 5 girls. And these 5 girls were very good friends. 2 of the girls were sisters. In fact, 2 of the girls were twin sisters. The 3 girls on the top's name were Virginia, Maryland, and Georgia. The 2 twin sisters were named North Carolina and South Carolina. And these 5 girls were such good friends that they loved to do everything together. So far, these are the first 5 colonies: Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. These girls thought to themselves, man, let's go do something fun today, because we love to have fun together. You know what we should do? We should go shopping. So they went on a shopping trip because they wanted to buy a bunch of new items. So here's all the new items that the girls got. They got a New York peppermint patty, which is a chocolate candy with mint inside. Who wouldn't want that? I love it. So then they wanted to buy a new t-shirt. So they bought a new jersey, a new sports jersey. They were also hungry, so they decided to buy a new ham, a ham for all of them, which represents New Hampshire. So we have 5 girls Those 5 girls are Virginia, Maryland, and Georgia, and 2 twin sisters, North Carolina and South Carolina. And they wanted to go shopping to buy some new items. So they got New York, New Jersey, and New Hampshire. So now we know 8 of the 13 colonies. Then they were so tired from their shopping trip. They were so exhausted, they decided to stop at a hotel and get a hotel for the night. And when they got to the hotel, they said this. They said, "Please don't call my room." "Please don't call my room" represents the other of the 13 colonies, the last 5. Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut, Maryland, actually that's wrong. That should be Massachusetts and then Rhode Island. So this actually right here should be Massachusetts because we already did Maryland and Rhode Island, okay? All right, so now looks at an easy way to remember your 13 colonies. Are you with me? Because having to memorize 13 states is really hard. And at the end of this video and after you make your own drawings, I want to see who can recite back to me their 13 original colonies. Your parents can take a video of you memorizing the 13 original colonies, and then you can text it to me so I can give you guys maybe some extra credit and extra points for the fact that you have memorized all of your 13 original colonies, okay? So let's go through them again. All right, and let me get a marker so that I can fix this one to Massachusetts, right? So it's not Maryland because we already have that. Massachusetts. All right, are we ready? Okay, again, remember, why are we studying the 13 original colonies? Because the United States did not always look like this. The United States was very different 500 years ago in the 1500s. And when people started coming over to America, remember the reason why they were coming was for religious freedom and to break free from the king. We're gonna get into that a little bit later with the Declaration of Independence, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. I love American history, it is so much fun. There was only 13 colonies here, and an easy way to memorize them is with this story. Okay, here we go. There were 5 friends. Those 5 friends were girls. Their names were Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, and the twins, North Carolina and South Carolina. You guys make your own drawings. I think it would be fun to see that. They were so excited to go to the mall and buy a bunch of new items. So they did. They went to the mall and they bought a new peppermint patty, a New York peppermint patty, a new t-shirt, which stands for New Jersey, and some ham to eat, which stands for New Hampshire. After they had all of these items, they were so exhausted and so tired, they decided to stay in a hotel for the night. But they said, "Please don't call my room." And the reason why is because PDCMR represents the last 5 of the colonies: Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. All right, you guys got that? You think you can memorize the 13 original colonies? I want to show something else that you guys can do for fun. Is you can take a piece of paper, and just a regular piece of paper, you fold it in half, you cut 2 slits here, and you can make a little flip book of all the colonies. There are 3 different sections of the colonies. There's the New England colonies. The New England colonies are New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Underneath this first flap, you can write those, okay? The other thing you can do on this side of it is you can write facts about those colonies. It's really cool to research all about the colonies and all the different leaders who started those colonies and why they started them. So highly recommend doing that. Then the middle colonies for the middle flap is New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And the southern colonies is Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. That's all there was in the United States, just these 13 original colonies. Again, remember, with really no precedent because we didn't have a government set up in that way yet. Okay, you might be wondering, why are these the middle colonies? Why is Delaware or New Jersey in the middle? And why is Georgia a southern colony? And that's because of their location. Again, if you look at the map, I'll get it a little bit closer for you guys right here, okay? All right, you notice that Georgia is down here. It's in the south. That's why it's a southern colony. South Carolina, North Carolina, those are also in the south. Those are the southern colonies. In the middle, we have Delaware. It's right here in the middle. That's why it's a middle colony. And then up at the top, we have New Hampshire, and that is why it is a New England colony, okay? All right, so I hope you've enjoyed studying the colonies. I can't wait to see who's gonna memorize all 13 of colonies first. Send me a text message of you guys doing that. Make your flip book, make your cartoon characters remember the 13 colonies. And remember, this took place 500 years ago, back in the 1500s. All right, you guys have a great day. Bye.